we discuss all things agile software development and delivery.
In our Too Long Didn't Read series, we provide short, practical advice on how to get stuff done. So don't expect deep discussions, but step-by-step, hands-on DIY advice that will make your life easier. Story mapping is maybe the easiest tool to quickly and reliably elicit requirements. It's certainly my default fallback. It's a tool I know I can use under any circumstance and that will always deliver some level of quality. Never heard of it? Well, a story map is basically a representation of features required to deliver for a given user experience. You map out the user journey, the process effectively horizontally, and for each step in that process or that user journey, you list required features, and voila, that's all there is to it. Story maps are valuable because they help us get clarity on what is needed, they help us identify and find gaps, and most importantly, they focus on end user value. So let's look at story maps in a little bit more detail. First, we map the journey horizontally. Each step is an action. For instance, access a website, search for a product, browse results, view select the product, check out, pay, etc., etc. Second, we identify the features required to support each of those steps or actions. So for instance, for the view select product action or step, the consumer may want to view an image of the product, they may want to read a description, choosing a product variant, size or color. The consumer may want to see the price, they want to click a checkout button and add the product to a basket. The business may want to present product recommendations, up or cross-sell options. Now, do not forget that there are also supporting users. So in order to make this happen, there are additional features required, such as setting up the product, pricing the product, etc., or the back-end capabilities that we need to provide. So we need to capture those as well. Third, prioritize. Within each step or action of the journey, vertically stack by priority, value, risk, complexity, whichever dimensions you choose to prioritize, the features that you have identified. If you then look at horizontal slices across all those features, what you have is effectively a release. You can make this highly relevant to the business goals by identifying certain release goals that across the entire journey provide slices that then build up the functionality and make it more and more valuable. So there could be a minimum MVP slice that just allows a user to look at a product and check out, and then there may be subsequent slices that add far more detailed product information, or maybe in a third iteration add marketing features like promotions, upsell, cross-sell, etc., etc. If this is done well, it allows to align product delivery perfectly with sales and marketing goals. Fourth, of course, deliver slice by slice, feature by rank and priority. To summarize, focus on the user, all users. So your customers, your consumers, your end users, but also your internal operations and other users that may be impacted by this functionality. Focus on jobs, needs, gains, and pains. So make it relevant, make it user-centric. Create multiple maps to make it manageable. So don't create a single map to rule the entire product. Create a map by theme or by feature. So for instance, create a map for user management. Create a map for viewing and buying products. You'll find when the map gets too big to be really visible, understandable in a single context, that you need to split it down. You can also split maps by end user, supporting user capabilities, although there is a little bit of a problem that if you do that, you may miss certain capabilities that a supporting operational user needs to provide to enable an end user to do things. So careful with that. Identify dependencies between the different features. Make sure that a story map is always end-to-end, or what is sometimes called narrative complete. So the user has a goal, they start, and at the end of the journey map, they have satisfied and completed that goal, achieved something. Work iteratively. Include user experience at the beginning. So initially you have generic user requirements, user needs, and then as user experience design and also technology come into this, you will have to refine. Your steps may change, the various features you offer, the way you split or slice and dice the various product iterations and releases will have to change. Do not put technical tasks on the map. Story maps are for features, they express the capabilities of a product. Do not use them as a work breakdown or a product breakdown structure to manage individual tasks, neither to support project management nor to support delivery teams. That's not what they're for. Be slightly careful with using systems as actors. So things like the system evaluates whether the consumer has money on their bank account. That's usually the wrong way to look at it. There is always a human user benefit in everything we do, in most things. So stick with what a user gets from it. Elaborate the solution as you go. Don't start with a solution design, and certainly don't start with it from a technology perspective. Finally, expand your horizon by looking at event storming, which is very similar, but it doesn't look necessarily at jobs and needs. It looks at various events that drive the behavior. Be this an event a user is kind of trying to trigger, or an event that has kind of impacted a user, or an event that is kind of affecting a business. Finally, a slightly bigger view to a story map is what's called a user experience map, which looks at not a single touch point, but a user experience across multiple touch points and identifies relevant capabilities. So this is just taking it a level higher up. A user experience map can be seen as a top-level view that is then decomposed into capabilities which each have their own story map or story maps. I hope this was helpful. Have a look at our show notes and of course our blog. There is further information on story mapping, experience maps and event storming. Happy story mapping!
That's it for today's episode. Have a look at our show notes with related information and details on how to get in touch at theburnup.com. We are listener driven, so please do send us your questions, comments, and ideas for new episodes.
We're both practitioners and are happy to discuss interesting opportunities from consulting to coaching to getting involved in actual projects. For inquiries, please visit burnupmedia.com. This podcast is produced by Burnup Media Limited under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 license, which means you can share it as long as you give credit, but you cannot change it or make money of it.
Until next time, thanks again for listening and have a wonderful day.